How's it going, guys? It's Poetry Stud, and welcome to the first EU4 guide I've ever done. And it's going to be about how to form the HRE as Austria. I am choosing Austria because they're in the best position to start off with at the beginning of the game. I was going to say at the end of the game. It doesn't make any gosh darn sense. If you're new to my channel, thanks for checking me out. I hope you'll enjoy the guide. There should be some screenshots popping up every minute or so about different things that I'm talking about. I have screenshots from a game I did as Austria forming the HRE, and I'm gonna show some of those screenshots. I don't know if I'll cue them in or not. Probably not. I'll probably forget to. But they're right now. I should be showing one right now if my editing self remembers to show one of the HRE after forming. And if not, it stretched from Denmark all the way down to Italy, as you can see, hopefully, and it contained most of, it contained all of Italy and all of Germany. It contained all of the classic HRE as well as more right at the beginning of forming it, so which was in 1621, about halfway through the game. And I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. So you should be back to me now, seeing this screen. Let's go ahead and click Austria, not Hungary, Austria. And we're going to get into it. So while it's loading, I'm going to tell you guys a couple things. I do want to disclaim that this is only the way that I did it, and it's a way that worked well for me. And it's a way that I would recommend doing, because it's not that hard to do. But I would say that if you do it a different way, there's nothing wrong with that. And if you hear a way from someone else that seems better, then go ahead and do it. This is just my way. It's not like it's a proven expert. But I consider myself fairly good at the game. So I hope you guys will at least take my word into consideration when doing your Austria game, because I'm expecting you are watching this for that reason. So first off, I'm not really going to worry about any of this stuff because I'm not going to worry about it. There is a couple things I want to talk about. So let's just talk about the basics first with elections. In the Holy Roman Empire screen, you are the emperor. Most of you probably already know the basics to this. But yeah, you're the emperor. You actually do not have a vote, so one of the biggest things you need to worry about at the beginning of the game is getting people to vote for you. So what I did in my game is, as Austria, you start off with a very good position where you have 5 leadership slots, not leadership slots, relationship slots, because you are the emperor, which gives you 1, and I believe one of your ideas gives you more. Yeah, later on, much later on, you'll get more relations, and there's other ways you can get them too, which I'll talk about a little later. And so you have 5 relations right off the bat, which is pretty good. Normally, I would recommend allying at least 2 or 3 of these so that you get a solid vote that you know you'll almost always have, and royal marriaging them. The Palatinate is a good one, Saxony is a good one, Trier is a good one, because these are all kingdoms. Mainz and Cologne are a little bit harder because they're not kingdoms, they are archbishoprics, so you can't get that royal marriage bonus, but they are still very doable. Also, the ones that are closer will be harder because of aggressive expansion if you grow early on in the game. Brandenburg and Bohemia both hate you pretty much right off the bat, so I wouldn't really... they also vote for themselves most of the time, so I wouldn't really recommend trying to go for them. You should, if anything, you should try to revoke the electorates that they have, which I will also talk about in a little bit. So right off the bat, as far as other powers to go, you might want to try and ally France. If you do, then you'll be really good off. Poland is another one. If you can ally Poland, which is normally not too hard, then that's good. It seems they rivaled me right off the bat, which sometimes happens, but sometimes you get lucky and they actually start with interregnum or interregnum. I'm not sure how you say it. And you can actually get a PU over them right away, which is really good if you can do that. And possibly or Lithuania too. So you can check into that, but that's not really the main reason I'm here. Basics are, I was just telling you guys the basics of getting electors to vote for you. So, just get them to like you. That's basically all you can do. Diplomatic reputation. The more Imperial Authority you have, then the more they'll vote for you as well. Imperial Authority is the next big thing about the basics of becoming the emperor and forming the empire. So, Imperial Authority, as you can see, it says right here, is gained by having a large number of member states, and it doesn't actually mean a large number of provinces. It means a large number of princes. So, that you have to keep that in mind. You could have more area than normal, and you could still have less princes. You have, if you have the member states being at peace, which they are, they start off at peace, then you get 0.1 every month. And I just want to preface this by saying that this little counter shows you how much you get per month, and it's really helpful because in previous updates, this is after 1.12, in previous updates, they didn't have this, and it really helps that you get a monthly amount of Imperial Authority. You also get provinces joining the Empire, which none of the AI ever add or take away provinces, so it's good because they won't take away provinces if, like, let's say Poland conquers some. They'll never take it out of the Empire, but at the same time, they'll never add it if one of the princes takes over land. And that is, excuse the phone, that is very unprofessional. I am sorry about that. I do need to check it real quick. Okay, I can wait till later to answer that. But let's say I took over Sopron or Pozzoni from the Hungarians. I could add it to the Empire, and it gives you 1 Imperial Authority per province, which is one thing that I do wish it kind of scaled with development, but I don't really have a say in that, so I'm not going to worry about it. You lose it by dishonoring the calls of members. Whenever someone declares war on an elector, I'm not just an elector, a prince, then you get called in, and you should always accept that because it shouldn't affect you. You can call in your allies too. So it's normally not that bad. Provinces leaving the Empire never happens. Imperial territory under the control of foreign states, and also heathens and heretics, and having less than 7 electors. If you have less than 7 electors, you can appoint a new one. Usually pick someone fairly far away, but someone that you can also get good relations with by, means of a royal marriage. In mine, that happened because I knocked out Bohemia. So eventually I picked like Holland as an elector and stuff. And they worked out pretty well until the end when they freaking were jerks. But anyways, that's irrelevant. Yeah, so as you can see, we are losing Imperial Authority right now because there are 16 provinces under the control of non-member states or subjects of non-member states. And you can see that in Imperial map mode, these little lined over ones. I believe this part of Venice used to be considered part as well, but it's not anymore. So yeah, these provinces, which it's good. And I would say one of my main tips is that one of the first things you should do is try to take this land back. So that is one thing you should worry about. Let's see. And then what was the last one? Yeah, heathens and heretics. Once the Reformation happens, things get a little bit more complicated. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. I would say, now I'm going to talk about the first steps. This is going to be like the second part of the video. I'm going to be telling you the first steps that you should probably worry about when you not just first, but just in general. These are the things you should always be trying to do to increase Imperial Authority. First off, always make sure that you have enough electors voting for you that you'll become the Emperor once your leader dies. Frederick III, he starts off being 29, so he's middle-aged by medieval standards or Renaissance standards. So go ahead and worry about that first. After that, what you want to do after that is something that I don't know, there's no word for it really. It's just you want to make as many princes as you can so that you get the most Imperial Authority per month. The way you do this is, let's find a good example. Let's say that we want, you can say Venice right here, the Aquileia. They aren't this is a little trick that I don't know if I made this up, but I thought of it on my own. And it's a trick that works pretty well. If you, let's say Aquileia is a 1 province minor, they only have cores on 1 place, I believe. 2. That's not a big deal though. So what you can do actually is you can take over all this land from Venice. Let's just say we just took this one. This would actually really help, and the reason why is because what we could do is we could take this and then we could add it to the empire, so we'd have to core it, but then we would release Aquileia as a vassal, or just as a nation in general, and what that does is it actually creates them as a prince because their provinces are already a part of the empire. And you can do that with a lot of people. Like you could go over and take Albania, make it a core, and then release Albania as a prince in the empire. And this will give you an additional 0.01 per month of Imperial Authority, which is not much, but if you add that up for a whole year, that's 0.12. If you do that for 5 people, then that's about 60 or 0.6 per month, or per year, never mind. Over 5 years, that's a good amount of Imperial Authority to have. That's 3 Imperial Authority from just doing a little bit of work. So that's one strategy that I would say is pretty good. Another thing, in the Empire, if you see, let's say that Saxony took over Anhalt, which is fairly likely that someone's going to take over Anhalt and Magdeburg, 1 province minors basically. When someone takes over a 1 province or a 2 province minor, what you want to do is you want to find a way to get to war with the person who annexed them, and then It doesn't matter how. Maybe you declare on one of their allies. I don't even know. Just try to find a way to. You can declare unlawful territory, which is one main thing we'll talk about in a little bit, and you can do that, and then declare war on them, get to war with them, occupy them, and then make them release that person. Not only will this, I believe it gives the Imperial Authority just for doing that. No, never mind. It does not do that. I'm talking a little fast. Sorry, guys. There's just a lot of stuff to cover. But yeah, you can take over some land from a person, and then release it again. Make them release that person, and that'll again keep your amount of princes high. And so I guess that's pretty much all I have for right now. There's a thing called the Shadow Empire event, which basically means that if you want the empire to stay with all the Italy too, then by the year 1490 you got to conquer all of Italy. I'm not gonna really talk about that. Basically, I did it, and I actually was able to prevent that from happening by taking over all of it. Basically, just rush for those provinces right off the bat and stay focused if you want to do that. That's a side note, though. I might do a whole guide just on that. So let's talk about the tools you have as Emperor, and this should be the last main point of this video. As Emperor, you start off with several tools. What you can do is, let's go to Emperor actions. So there's a couple things you can do. You can remove electorate, and you can't do this right now, actually. You have to wait until the Reformation happens, and normally like Brandenburg and some of these northern states, as well as Bohemia and Saxony, lots of times they will convert, it seems to me, especially Brandenburg, because they want to form Prussia, and to do that you have to be Reformed or Protestant. So if, let's say that Brandenburg did that, they are an elector, and they will never vote for you, really. So what you can do is you can use this to remove electorate. It will actually upset people, the other electors, by 100 if they are the same religion as that person, or 50 if they're a different religion. So you want to wait till they turn to a different religion and then remove electorate, and then you can make an electorate that will vote for you. So that's one tip. Remove electorate. You won't use that option much, but you may use it. Another way is to just like full annex Bohemia or something, and then you can then obviously they're not electing anyone, but I mean, of course, that's a little harder and could mess up your relations and stuff. Alright, so a demand unlawful territory is one that you'll probably be using a lot. Whenever anyone inside the Emperor or outside the Empire takes over a province, you have the ability to demand unlawful territory for that province. And I can't really like use that screen right now, I don't think. I don't think there's anyone I can demand unlawful territory for right off the bat. No. So, but yeah, when you'll see a little screen, and you'll never... I'll tell you that I know this for a fact, that they will never actually return it. But it gives you a CB on them that lasts for a couple of years. And so that's a good way to get at war with like someone up here. If you want to make them, say Brunswick takes over Verdun, if you want to get to war with them to make them release Verdun, you can use that and you'll get a CB. So that's one way of using that. That's a good tool to use. And there was another thing I was going to say with that. No, that was it. So Bestow Imperial Grace is the last one listed here right now. Bestow Imperial Grace, you actually use one Imperial Authority, and you improve someone's relations with you. So let's say I wanted to make the Platinum my friend. I can Bestow Imperial Grace, and bam, it uses one Imperial Authority. You only have 19 now. And it gives a plus 41 Imperial Relation bonus. I don't know why it's 41. That's just what it is. Yeah, so that's another tool you can use. And that's pretty much all the main tools you have. Now let's talk about the reforms for just a second. You need 50 Imperial Authority for each reform, and what you get 10 for dying, by the way, and becoming the next Emperor when being elected again, which is an easy way to get Imperial Authority, but it's not very reliable. To speed it up, you might want to set your ruler as a leader in combat. That way they might die. If you want to do that, be careful. But the Imperial Reforms, I won't go through each of these one by one, but they are all really, really good. The best one is once you get down to here. Your Landfried, because it immediately gives you disallow internal HRE wars. This is where it starts to get big, and you start to have a lot more power. Once you disallow internal wars, you get plus 0.1 automatically from having internal peace. There is a way that people can get to war with each other if someone else from the outside calls people in, but that doesn't happen nearly as much as you would be getting the bonuses from that. This is Proclaim Urkbeis Kaisertum. I don't know how to say that. This is really good because now it becomes a primogenitor type kingdom if you play CK2 at all, where you actually always inherit it, so you don't have electors. However, I will say something about this. What you want to do is by the way, I should say, in order to see who supports stuff, you can see everyone who is supporting the reform and everyone who isn't. But I'll talk about that in a couple seconds. I will say that with this one, when you inherit this, if you want to like, oh, there's one other thing I forgot about real quick before I forget. If someone is a different religion, you can actually enforce religious unity. It would appear right here above remove electorate. And let's say like Anhalt converted to Protestantism. I could go here and click enforce religious unity, and if they liked me, they would actually accept and they would go back to Catholic. Very helpful, except you got to make sure it doesn't even tell you this, so it gets a little tricky. If you use that, it'll make everyone else who is that religion, all the Protestants, all the other Protestants, they get a negative 25 relationship penalty, and it sacks. So if you do that to 5 people, all the Protestants will hate you, and that'll affect the way they actually like support. It'll affect how they support you and stuff. So you gotta watch out for that. However, if you do get them to convert, it'll make them definitely support it, because the heathens penalty is one of the biggest for supporting and stuff. And you can see who supports it and why with this. It tells you why. Okay, so as I was saying, once you get to this one, it's really, really good, and it gets even easier and easier to proclaim reforms. And this one is one you gotta worry about, Revoke the Privilege. This one makes it so that all members of the HRE become your direct vassals, or leave. Now, you gotta be very careful of this, because before you do this, you have to watch out, because everyone who supports it will, once you pass it, will join. Sorry if I bumped my mic there. But everyone who doesn't support it will not accept it, and they won't become your vassal, and they'll leave the HRE, and it's a pain to get them back. So before you form it, you want to look and see who's against it. You want to make it just down to 3 or 4 people. You're not going to be able to get everyone, I don't think. Like in mine, I had to give up Saxony, but that was the only major power I managed to get. So look around before you do it, and try to improve relations, get people to support it. And then this one is, of course, the last one, where you make the HRE. And after that, the world is your oyster, and everything will go smoothly. You have unlimited manpower. In my game, I actually, right after forming it, I already owned all of Denmark, part of Sweden even, because the Hansa had gone crazy. And even though they hadn't added it to the empire, the Hansa was my vassal, so they became part of the empire after that. Which is a cool little thing. So in other words, if Pomerania, they're part of the empire, if they went all the way up to here, even if they don't add it to the empire, which they don't, then, and I can guarantee you they won't, then if you annex them with that last reform, it'll become part of your country. So as you could see in the screenshot at the beginning, which I might put up now, my empire, right after forming already, was the most powerful country in the world. In my game, with that game, I've still been playing it, and I've conquered most of France now, part of Spain. I made Aragon my vassal or something, or I created them as a vassal. I had Normandy and fed them to contain most of the French-English coast. Very interesting, and so I hope this guide helped. It was a fairly long guide, I'm sorry about that, but this is just everything that I thought you guys should know. So remember, keep as many princes as you can. You can form princes by taking territory, adding it to the empire, and then releasing vassals. And that's about it. Keep strong allies, go to war, release princes again, enforce religious unity, but only a little bit. Watch out for it. You don't want to do too much. And if you guys want to see a guide about the Shadow Empire event, I can give you guys a detailed guide about how to walk you through to that, and how to prevent that from happening. But go ahead and tell me if you would like that. And until next time, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe for more. Hope you enjoyed. If you're new to my channel, thank you for watching. Hope this helps. And if it did, go ahead, and if it was enjoyable as well, go ahead and subscribe and leave a like. It really means a lot to me. Check out my other series, which I will leave a card or an annotation to in the video. And until next time, goodbye.